Greetings and welcome back to Switch to Linux. I wasn't sure I was doing a show today, and I actually sent out a message earlier this week saying, yeah, I won't be doing the show today because I had a lot of weird stuff going on this week. But I was like, you know what, we got to do it. And Polymatrix, your new name, old name, Tech Hab.
The artist formerly known as Tech Haberdashery.
That's right. The tech geek formerly known as Tech Haberdashery. He sent an email saying, hey, is there a way I can do this? And I'll just record it and send it and I'll upload it. I'm like, you know what? I think I can probably pull it off because I finished up what I was doing earlier today. And then I just, and as I looked around, I was like, well, yeah, there's a Walmart kind of en route to where I'm going. So I'll just figure I'd go ahead and stop at the Walmart, hang out for a little bit, be a Walmart parking lot bum, and do a live stream before driving on into the middle of the forest. So I do have to leave right around 8, and because I need to get into the forest. Now, I did want to show you guys what I was doing all week because it's kind of fun. So a friend of mine has some NASA contracts doing some tactile maps of basically doing books in Braille for the blind to learn about astronomy and such. And when you do these books, it's a massive production. Because each page, like rather than a printing press, it just, you have to press every page on a thermoform machine. We're doing 11,000 books, and each book has 2 pages, so 22,000 individual pages of doing these books, and then they get sent out to a printer, or it's actually a printing company will take the tactile maps that we do and bind them together in the actual books. And my cousin, who is used to be in publishing industry, is like, I really like publishing machines and stuff. I'd like to see this thing. So I had my friend do a little video recording of it. So I thought I'd just go ahead and show you guys what I've been up to this week. So here we are. This is about a 4-minute video. But it's fascinating. So. All right, here we are in the planetarium, and this is the American thermoform machine, which is heat and vacuum. And the sheet over there is too heavy to hold right now because
this is the grill. It gets hot, and so usually we only go about 3 hours, and then I force people to shut the machine down. But Tom's just keep going and going and going in this production of this NASA product on the 2023-2024 eclipses. So basically, I'll film you, Tom. You show them how it's done here, okay?
All right. So we'll start with over here. We have the raw pages here, and they're like a form of plastic. And then you make the templates out of whatever random stuff you find laying around the house. We got shoelaces, canvas, corkboard.
Corkboard.
Is that a paper clip? What is that?
Probably. Wire? I don't know. Wire.
Cardboard, and then of course some Braille printing.
And that's called the master.
Yep. So, and I've seen these with macaroni noodles before.
Yes,
right?
yes, we've done just about every sand, sawdust.
All right, so that's going to sit over there, and our final product is going to do this, and it takes all of a few seconds to do.
All right, show us how that's done.
So we're going to set this
Dr. Murawski.
on here, like that. Lock that down. Hold this over. That starts a timer. And then in 5.5 seconds, the pump's going to turn on. Open it up. And that's a really bad example because we got those. And that happened because we stopped to explain the process. So when that happens, we're just going to go ahead and run it again. You can see this Braille here is not good. We have this crease, which will mostly go away. These Braille are pretty good up here.
So what are you going to do then?
We're just going to run it again.
Or maybe give it a little more time.
Yeah. So you can see now the Braille came out. There's a crease here, but that's okay.
We're going to live with that one, yep.
But here, we'll just do a couple more here real quick, just so you can see that they don't always work. What, you want that one in the box or over there?
Yeah, I'll do that.
We'll fix that one later.
There you go. This one will be beautiful. Okay, timer's on.
Timer there, and then the pump, although you'll hear it before you'll see that button. Ooh. So it's still just getting there because I'm not up to my usual speed. I have the settings a little bit lower because I'm running pretty fast.
Yeah. And can I
slow these up?
Can I comment that
That's
See,
really
that's
good
perfect.
there. There's a tiny crease, but you can barely feel it.
And Tom knows that. Yeah, once you get in a rhythm and they're coming out. As soon as you break that pattern, then you got to adjust things.
So what I did this time is I actually added an extra second to the timer, and that should cause this from coming out. Perfect first run.
Yeah, nice.
And then, so we have, this book you said is 2 books, right?
It's 2 pages.
2 pages of a book, and there's 11,000 of them, so we have to do 22,000 of these pages.
2 times 11,000, 22. Wow.
Who gets to put them all together?
McCarty Printing in Erie, PA. Actually, they collate, punch, and bind them, and put the Braille label on the covers. So we lean on McCarty Printing pretty heavily to finish the product, but we do all the thermoforming right here.
And this is a project funded by NASA, correct?
Correct. Yep. Actually, NASA Survey, which is Solar System Exploration Research Virtual Institute, which is part of NASA Ames out in San Francisco, helps fund this.
All right.
Hello.
So there you have it.
All right, so that's what I've been up to this week. That's why we've been short on videos. I put in about 20 hours running that machine. So,
Wow.
Jesse got an upgrade.
Your arm must be sore.
No, actually, it was quite refreshing because it was different. A lot lower rate than I usually get paid, but it was all right. But yeah, we pushed out. I don't know exactly how many I pushed out, but we did make a big dent in the production run, and we're just going to let the students at the university cover the rest of them because I need to get back to regular work. I have other things I was working on, but yeah.
I think it's cool. I've never seen how Braille printing works. So this is I enjoy this.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that was neat stuff. Salbu jumped on, Mark jumped on. All right. Anybody else jump on?
We got the crew.
All right, we got the crew. So we are also testing on the regular Jitsi server to see if the timeouts and stuff has been on my end, which I'm guessing it is. I'm guessing our server just got a little overrun.
I tell you what.
Let's see. What's up?
I'm impressed with these updates. It's coming along. Jitsi's.
Well, I mean, this is like the full-fledged real Jitsi, not my self-hosted one.
So at least you can self-host it.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing. So, all right. We are
self-hosted is fine. It works good.
Oh yeah. It works as long as we don't have as many people we had right now.
Yeah, correct.
I get my show is getting big enough that it is. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we need to talk about should we just use the regular main Jitsi server? It is still FOSS, so maybe it's something we do.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, let's check in on our numbers and. Polymatrix is going to basically lead our discussion today.
Cool.
So I didn't have to do as much preparation as I finished out everything I was working on. So I thank you for that. And should we do comments now, or should we just jump right on in? I think we should jump right on in, and then we're going to hit all the comments at the end of the show.
Yeah, I was about to say let's just because you're on a little bit of a time constraint, so I don't want to hold you up. So I would say let's round robin initial impressions of it, and I'd say we dig into
roll them.
All right. My initial impression, I'll go first. I mean, the end of the world as we know it. It's probably not that bad, but it is definitely an expansion of the Patriot Act applied for a digital world, and that's a bad thing.
People are overreacting, and people are not overreacting.
I like that you split that right down the middle.
One of those things,
you committed to nothing.
Some people are overreacting, some people aren't.
If something's going on in Washington, D.C., it's better to overreact than under.
All right. Let's read it in a little bit. All right, so Tom says Patriot Act 2.0. Mark says people are overreacting and not. Ashton, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion is that I tried to read it and I got a headache.
Not used to reading much legislation. I've spent too much time in corporate America. This is light reading.
There you go.
And I
Dan,
work
hit
a
me.
part-time job at Walmart selling phones.
I tried to read it. I actually used Louis Rossman's first video when he went through it and stuff like that. He had a long version and a short version video.
Yeah.
The long one I think was like over an hour or something like that, and there's a short one that's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And he was reading the stuff out, and he's going through penalties and stuff like that, and this thing has nothing good in it. It doesn't even say anything about TikTok.
No, it doesn't. Ivan, what are you at?
The impression that I took from it, and this could be way off base, but I'm like, let's penalize everybody before we penalize everybody. That's kind of like the impression I got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great judgment.
Yeah, I was about to say you're guilty until proven innocent, right? Just like the
and not only that, I got out of it too. You don't get no trial or anything.
Right,
you
whoa,
go directly to jail.
Yeah, there you go. Dan
you
says
go right to
no trial,
sentencing.
straight to jail. Right on. Sobu is our resident European.
There you go.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
feel?
Sobu, what do you think?
They can't just not give you a trial. That's not going to work in the U.S.
Yeah. Sobu, what do you think?
I think that this is more damaging than the Patriot Act that was enacted 22 years ago as a valid response to an actual attack on the United States. So it's understandable that it was enacted with, I think, 2 senators voted against it, and everyone else voted for it, which we could understand at the time. But now, when we have so many eyes with so much more possibility to read it, and more people telling what they think of it in a meaningful way, in a various ways for people to understand. So this time we have more chance to have certain sections taken out, or the whole thing voted down altogether, which was not a possibility 22 years ago.
That's the whole problem with these bills, is they try and make them as huge as possible, so senators and representatives don't want to read them, and then they vote on them, and then they find out after they voted on them what they voted for, and then they're not, did I vote for this? Man, this looks pretty crappy.
Right.
Yeah, and also the last time, 22 years ago, Michael Moore, the documentary maker, he went around Washington D.C. and in a van with big loudspeakers. It was a stunt, but he had someone reading the entire bill that they were voting on. And he asked a whole lot of senators. No one read the bill, which was rushed in the night before. So when the day came that they were actually voting on it, no one knew exactly what they voted for, and I think a lot of them regretted that after when they started reading it. And so the danger is, because my understanding, this has happened a couple of times over the years, when someone wants a bill in. They have a bill that looks benign or have some controversial topics, and then someone decided the night before, when they are going to vote on it, they do a printout of something completely different, and people think they're voting on one thing when they are voting on another thing. That's also
they did something similar with the Affordable Care Act, if you remember that. It was like a stack.
Well, hang on,
this.
guys. Let's not get too off the topic of this bill. I know that there's a lot of issues with the American legal system, and we have plenty of right to criticize it. But I don't know if
this bill out, and they said you have to vote on it to see what's in it.
Sure. So that was actually going to be one of my questions here to this group is if you actually if you were to pull this thing out and you took out all the double spacing and then the 2.5-inch margins on each side, this thing's only 10 pages, which as far as American federal legislation goes is pretty small. So is that a cause for, I don't want to say celebration, but is that a beacon of hope in this, or is it Is there a concern that it's not detailed enough and that we should be more worried than we are?
I do have a first question. I know Kevin McCarthy had to accept several concessions. One of them on the table was a bill could only have one item in it. I'm not sure if that was one of the concessions or was actually finally approved. Does anybody know off the top if that is the case or not?
I don't.
One thing I do know is what was approved is you have to provide people enough time to read it. And I can say that, you know, anybody could sit down with this bill pending Ashton's headache and read it in a few hours because it's not, I mean, even in the way they format stuff in these PDFs like this, it's only 55 pages like this.
I may need to take Tylenol.
Yeah. But so, yeah, it is fairly small. And I guess that is the question, is it overly defined, underly defined? And I got a chance to skim through it. I didn't read through all of it. I thought it had a lot of distinct definitions, but it also had a lot of places that was really open to interpretation. Like literally, the software design, here's one of the parts. The software design primarily used in connecting with can either be a desktop application, a mobile application, a gaming application, a payment application, or a web-based application. Well, that pretty much covers everything. So that's my thought. I will yield my time.
I yield back the time to the guest host.
Reclaim my time.
All the punishments.
Information, communications, technology products, and services.
All right, whoa, easy.
Yep,
Everybody's yelling at once.
Right.
Dan,
all
please
the
go ahead.
punishments I found in the bill gave me the notion that it should be immediately scrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does violate the constitutional tenets about excessive punishments. We're talking 20 years in jail and $1 million fines for
Well, if
using
they
certain
approve
apps.
it, then it circumvents the Constitution because it becomes part of it.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, this is where we can have a discussion
an
about.
amendment.
Like,
This is a law.
well, right. So right now it's a bill, right? So it's not being added to the Constitution. I don't think it's being added to the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, it's not going to be part of the Constitution.
Yeah, this is a commerce. This is going to be a commerce law, effectively. My I think issue is what Tom is saying is that the way this is worded, it's up to $1 million, up to 20 years in prison, or both. So, like, if you go to prison for 20 years and you still can't pay the $1 million, then guess what? You get to stay in prison longer until you pay back the $1 million. It's like
that's if you're caught being a VPN provider.
Right.
Well, the idea of a VPN is not specifically in the bill, though.
Yeah, so a VPN isn't specifically called out, but the way that this is worded, desktop application, a mobile application, a payment application, or web-based application, I mean, all of these things effectively, I mean, the web-based application is really what's going to get you because everything connects to the web. So,
Yeah, so
it's not explicitly called out, but it's implied.
Yeah, so Louis was. I saw Louis was a short video when he was snipping it out the part of the bill that he was talking about. He said that he asked the question that would the forum that he runs be in because it's of the community over 1 million users or more, or 1 million viewers or more, and he could easily have that during the first 3 months of the year. So he was rhetorically asking, does that mean that my forum now would be part of the things that this bill would include? And he thinks that it will. So it's dangerous. It will be misused later down the road if this is passed as is.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say briefly, this is the statement that could apply to a VPN. No person may engage in any conduct prohibited by or contrary to its provisions. It also says no person may cause or aid, abet, counsel, command, induce, procure, permit, or approve the doing of any act prohibited by the law or the omission. So the idea is a VPN could abet in using an otherwise banned app because it does get around geo restrictions, and that's where people are saying that.
Right. I think the concern is, so if we are going to tie this back to TikTok, which is kind of the thing that like maybe we haven't said yet, but if we're going to tie this back to TikTok, that provision is in place to say, okay, TikTok, if you set up, some sort of secret VPN within your app that tunnels this data to, Project Texas, and that gets sent to China, then we have a problem. This idea kind of makes me want to lean into a little bit just a speculation on everybody else's part. And Soul Blue, I'm glad you're here because you're not from the U.S. Do we think that is this coming from a place of genuine concern, given the, shall we say, the rivalry that's appearing between the United States and China? Do we think that this is a genuine concern coming from people who might be uneducated on the specifics of this kind of technology and what the kind of the ramifications could be? Like, is there any room to say that our legislators are trying their best, even if they're like good intentions of bad outcomes, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's as far as I understand it, it's a combination of senators who are having a good intention and the clear intended the intentions of the bill is to stop the likes of TikTok from gathering data about especially U.S. citizens and U.S. network data and so on, and sending it to China or to North Korea or to whatever happens to be on the sanctions list of the US, or and it's being worded in such a way that which I think it's a good intention that they're wording it not to targeting TikTok specifically, because there's always going to be something new down the road that is
well, if they don't do that, that means that whatever they write's got to apply to Facebook and Google and everybody else as well.
Yeah, and once this is passed, it's easy to amend it down the road to encompass something new. But
they almost never do that. When they got their teeth sunk into something and they got the way they want it, it stays there.
Yeah, my point is that there's two parts to this. There is the good intentions of we want to stop TikTok or we want to stop this bad thing that is everyone is up in arms about. And also there is someone another part that wants this to encompass as much as possible in order to start legally gathering data about people of interest, and we want to define how we determine that. So there is the creep of new additions. So I think that this bill is not as bad as could be. And I think that's deliberate, so that a few years down the road, say, they could change it slightly to include another part of society as part of this. And we are boiled slowly to accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's quite near the bottom of the bill. There's different things like covered transaction, covered holding, entity, foreign adversary. And I mean, an entity is very broad. It's a firm, a government agency, government department, or government commission, a labor union, a fraternal or societal organization, a partnership, a trust, a joint venture, a corporation, a group, subgroup, or other association or organization, whether or not organized for profit. It's like, okay, so like everybody, like it's.
And there's also the fact that this is a legal bill, and it that necessitates that it needs to have some legalese to it, which is quite boring. And everyone who has seen an actual contract written by a lawyer, it's full of nonsense because it has to in order to account for every eventuality. And that's the bad thing.
I just think it's too general. It's too it's too broad. It says everything just about is illegal to do on the internet if we decide you're doing something wrong.
It doesn't say that specifically. What, like the Patriot Act, it's supposed to apply to non-U.S. That's what's supposed to calm people down. Now, maybe that's going to be done. So,
and then we got Snowden.
Well, hold on. So specifically, the covered entities are a foreign adversary, and the foreign adversaries are explicitly defined: Russia, China, Korea, Venezuela, and there was one more, right? An entity subject to the jurisdiction of or organized under the laws of a foreign advisory or adversary, and an entity owned, directed, or controlled by a person described in A or B. So it's basically like the Patriot Act defined as a foreign adversary or anybody associated with a foreign adversary. That's what makes it super general. But it's not like Louis Rossman's site would be covered because he crosses 1 million subscribers. It's if Louis Rossman had Chinese investors and had 1 million subscribers. The question is, can they twist it to cover them anyway? And that's what is a little bit broad defined. Tech or poly, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like it should be a rule
the
that
artist
any
formerly
law
known
is-
as Tech Haberdashery.
Yeah, that's right. The artist formerly known as Tech Haberdashery. I think the slippery slope here is like, as we saw with the Patriot Act, once they were granted the power to do something, it was only a matter of time before it became invasive to everybody, right? And then we got the FISA court, right, which is, it's basically a private court for national security issues. So basically they can say, well, we can't make it public because it's national security. So the question now comes down to, once we grant these powers to persecute foreign adversaries, what's the limit? And even though publicly there's a limit to say, well, it's not U.S. citizens. Well, is it anybody who's in the U.S., say,
who's going to enforce the limit?
I say, well, who's going to, again, we come down to these, secret courts and things like that. And my issue is, and this is the thing
if the limit's broken, who
really frustrates me, is we're giving this authority to the Secretary of Commerce, who is naturally going to expand the Department of Commerce in order to enforce these kinds of actions if this is turned into law. I don't know how to feel about that. The Secretary of Commerce is going to have the ability to institute criminal and civil penalties. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't sound like the Commerce. The Department of Commerce to me is not an executive branch, or it's not a judicial branch, right? I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me, in my opinion.
Speaking of secret courts, though,
super broad or vague, just should be struck down as a rule.
Yeah. Speaking of secret courts, specifically in the bill, inapplicability of FOIA. Any information submitted by the federal government by the party to a covered transaction in accordance with this act, as well as any information the federal government may create relating to review of the covered transaction, is exempt from disclosure under Section 552 of Title V U.S. Code, commonly known as the Freedom of Information Act. So any information that they take based on this act, you cannot find out about it.
Okay, so there we go. Problem. Already, they've got the secrets built into this bill, right? Like they have the power of secrecy to not be transparent with the people built in.
I do
understand why they want this, but this has nothing to. This does not belong in a free society. Having a free society necessarily means that there are some restrictions that we are not using because we are a free society.
I think another part that is very concerning about this bill, I think this is one way the government can prop itself up financially. I think that's a big motivation, or secondary even, but it's certainly bigger than what a lot of people realize, I think. Let's look at the state of our books as a nation. They're absolutely abysmal, and this would definitely fund the courts and pay your judges. And it's sad to say, it makes you sick to your stomach that they would ever do something like that.
I was going to say, that sounds like
because when somebody gets arrested for a pre-crime, pre-thought, or thought crime, then they're just gonna get loads of money from this.
I think that might be going a little too far from this because this is the Department of Commerce. This is not. It's not the judicial branch. So I don't think that $1 million penalty is going to fund too many. The money printer goes burr. Okay, so like they can print all the money they want for the judges. They don't need this to do that.
Hold on, real quick. Disappeared into the trees.
Yeah,
they gotta bring funds in. I mean,
right. So real quick, let's. Ashton sounds like he had something to say, but after Ashton, I want to go back to Ivan because it's been a minute since we heard from Ivan, and I don't want to leave the guy out. He's got such a lovely background. So, Ashton, what's your thought? And then Ivan, take us up from there.
The main thing I was saying is that Mark has disappeared into the trees.
He's going to come back out with a sign that says "Support this act" and an FBI gun behind him. Or
smarter than the rest
of us,
like
Homer Simpson. But anyway, go ahead, Ashton.
I feel like this law just needs to be struck down as soon as possible. Like it should not leave the Senate.
Well, it's not a law yet.
It's just a bill. It's just
law, bill, whatever.
Yeah.
Terminology does not matter to me.
Yeah,
Ivan.
Yeah, and when the way I was looking at it, it's just like from my previous statement, was kind of like, it's like okay, everybody's talking about TikTok necessarily. Now I don't use TikTok. I don't like it. I'm just like, what's his name with this article? But at the same time, it's like it seemed like okay. They want to take the approach of like, okay, let's penalize whatever's going on regarding TikTok. You ban it. Well, let's take it to the next step. Let's just not hit one thing. Let's hit everything. Let's put an umbrella over it, make it very general. And then when there's a problem, we can pick and choose the direction we want to go. And everyone has to shut up about it. And it just seems like they're, kind of keeping it secret from everybody because they're like, hey, it's secret, so we don't have to talk about it.
Well, they leave enough loopholes in it so they can get away with anything they want to if they really don't like you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, Razilla Review has got a banger here in the comments. Just get rid of Deepin and Kylin Linux, because of their Chinese influences. So I mean, is this bill doesn't call out TikTok specifically, but it does call out the People's Republic of China. So do we go that far? Do we say, hey, no Deepin, no Kylin Linux because it may spy on its users? I mean, those those have a significantly lower societal impact, so maybe they're not as potentially damaging if you want to make that argument. But
at one point in time, I don't think it does anymore, but at one point in time the software store in Deepin did have a Chinese version of Google Analytics inside of it, so making it officially complicit in Chinese spying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just like Google Analytics.
That's why I never use Deepin. I'll say it straight up. But I mean, it's like, should the federal government make it? Should it hang on the hook the potential to fine you for using it? That's really
no, and that's why Louis Rossmann just a couple hours ago dropped another video saying, I no longer specifically support a ban on TikTok. Just because of the authoritarianism involved. Now, it'd be way, way, way better for our society if primarily parents stood up, watched 3 or 4 TikTok videos, and then told their kids, I'm sorry, you're not watching this. But, Mom! You can either not watch this or you cannot have your phone. Which you should just take the phone anyway. But
the information on TikTok that we see here in the U.S. is completely different than what the Chinese children are allowed to see over there. Over there, they see education, some military, how to be a useful citizen and all that, where our TikTok over here, it's got nothing, from what I've seen on it, it's got nothing but silly junk on it. It's just mindless.
Yeah.
Kids being a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how stupid can I get to get the most clicks?
Yeah, and the understanding is that this bill, the understanding by many is that this bill started as a reaction to attempting to slow down the growth of TikTok, and they really have brought their big guns and worded it in such a way that it will encompass everything that could possibly do what TikTok does now and in the future. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think this is going to do for deplatforming? Like now, companies have got with this law. How does that tie in? What does that look like for deplatforming people from certain services or mainstream services that are more left leaning or maybe even apolitical.
I don't think that this will have any impact on that, because the platforms can already do what they want, because they are a private entity, and they can do what they want. So take Facebook, for instance, which most of the Western world is old enough at any point during a week. They can ban everyone. Anyone that they deem unfit for the platform, without the government have any recourse to do anything about it, because they are private citizens. Whereas the government can't directly tell Facebook to please ban this user because we don't like him. That is where the restrictions are coming.
They
tend
to
do it
can't
anyway.
Now. But will they be able to in the future?
No,
and are they
this
planning
bill,
on being able to.
This bill doesn't do that specifically. This
Right.
bill has more to do. This bill has to do not with the users of a platform, but the platform itself, and it has to do with platforms. And it's not just owned by; it's also invested by. Anybody owned by, invested by, having associations with any foreign adversary cannot run an app. Is what the bill says. So,
That sounds to me like deplatforming if any foreign adversary.
No. It doesn't target a foreign user on an American company. It targets a foreign company. It targets a platform, not a user on the platform.
Right.
Go ahead,
But
That's it. Yeah.
The geek formerly known as
putting
Tech.
pressure on the platforms, at what point do they feel the need to clean house?
No, it has nothing to do with the users on the platform. It has to do with the platform itself. Go ahead, Polly.
Okay.
Yeah, let me inquire of this. So when the former president was in office, he banned Huawei, like straight up. Was just like, nope, they're terror bad. We're getting rid of them. And Europe kind of followed suit in many respects. And in hindsight, it doesn't necessarily look like there was maybe as much to be. There was more concern over what Huawei could do than what they were actually doing. There's some reason to be concerned about Huawei. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but there's criticisms that particular decision was a little too draconian. So is this potential law, is it giving the federal government the authority to say, we ban Huawei, we ban TikTok or any other foreign adversary group?
Well, there's a difference.
Without
Huawei
being
was hardware.
Well, see, it wasn't the hardware they were concerned about. It was the software that was running on that hardware that could report back to China. And since it was right, because it was packaged together, you had to ban the hardware. I get that. It's not. I'm not disputing.
Don't let you replace the software.
Well, I mean, that could you? And then, so I'm wondering, because on something like TikTok, which doesn't have an explicit, hardware platform, is this giving the federal government the ability to say legally, without pointing a finger at the president directly, by saying, hey, we can ban who we want and it's legal because we have a law for it? Because even on the conservative side of things with Trump, or at least within the Republican side, let me not say conservative side, but within the Republican side, when Trump was president, there was a group that said, this is an executive order and it kind of reaches beyond executive authority, we feel. So is this a reaction to that in some way? Is this like, is this 4D chess? Are we missing the point?
Well, I think this is, it is a reaction, because what I was going to mention earlier, the branch that this is under, it is not legislative, it is not judicial, it is executive. So everything that goes on here is under the purview of the president. And so what that's basically going to mean is that anytime the president or the executive branch wants to ban something, they would have the authority as long as it matches something with the scope of the bill. And so, yes, this could be, if this bill were in effect when Orange Man Bad was in and he said, we're banning Huawei, and by the way, we're banning TikTok too, because remember, he did try to do that, this bill would have standing to cause that to happen. The problem we have with an overly broad bill in the executive branch is that it gives way too much power to the executive branch without the legislative oversight, and that's the problem.
And who enforces this new legislation?
It is the executive branch.
So that's the president and his goons.
Yeah. So like it was the Department of Commerce, was it?
Yeah, it is. It's the Secretary of Commerce.
I was
Secretary
thinking
of Commerce,
Homeland
which is
Security first.
They have some tie-ins, but technically it's under the Commerce.
I wonder if I mean, well, it's probably better than like the IRS is doing, where they hired their own enforcement officers. So at least it points back to the DHS, right?
Here's the relevant executive department and agency heads. So relevant executive department and agency head means Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, United States Trade Representative, Director of National Intelligence, Administrator of General Services, the Chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, the heads of other executive departments and agencies as appropriate. And so that's
anybody
involved. Yeah,
anybody who's appointed, right? Anybody not elected.
Anybody who's appointed, not elected, can basically say you
get rid of half of that and still function as a country.
We can probably get rid of pretty much all of that and still function as a country.
So per se, a company has a transgender foreign national that has immigrated to America and they're an expatriate. Per se, that expatriate uses a VPN to achieve his goals in business. Per se, that expatriate says something that's off color or that upsets the Biden administration or whatever administration
is present at that time.
Yeah, whoever is president at the time.
Me.
Whoever is POTUS, president of the United States. Okay, what is stopping that company from seeing we have this account of this guy? He's a good guy, but he says some things online, and we saw it on his social media. We've looked into it, and he's a little bit of a risk. So I think we need to go ahead and get rid of him. What you're saying, basically, Sobu, is they're kind of doing that already. So
I think they have, if they see someone writing or saying something online in social media, I think that the U.S. government or the U.S. enforcement branches have the authority to do that within the existing laws. What this does, in addition to adding a few new things, is that anything that is covered in this, if they want, could be handled in secret, and you have no authority to demand inside of any kind. Whereas the existing legislation, you could have the freedom of information about what is going on in any of these cases, bearing certain restrictions about actual national security, or that could be a threat to the country. You are pretty much can get information on it. So
I guess what I'm saying is kind of a moot point. I just feel like in the future, okay, bottom line, this is a foothold for them to gain control over the internet, or much more control than they've ever had in the history of time.
In general, yes. All you'd have to do is make a small change as to who you consider a foreign adversary. Because remember, the foreign adversaries is explicitly defined, meaning that you have to have a very direct, very clear connection to one of those foreign adversaries for this law to apply to you.
So this is a completely different framing from what I was, I guess, more concerned about or worried about.
Here's a scenario.
It really doesn't seem like it's going after the individual citizens of the U.S. so much as really platforms and foreign actors.
Correct.
Set
And that's what
by-
it's designed to do. But we don't want to say, oh, okay, let's just let it pass, because who could have a problem with that? Because it is still overbroad and overreaching.
Yeah. It could give them. It would give them the foothold where they could slip in there and do some maybe follow up legislation or really get control of the internet like they've never had.
Go ahead, Dan.
Scary.
You're going to say something.
Well, how does this affect companies that spend large amount of money and use the internet, let's say, to China to produce goods and then bring them back over here? And internet transactions that way to another adversary, which would be China. But, it depends on who you're talking to if China's an adversary or not.
That's a very good question, because it's like, okay,
Supply chain stuff?
will this stop all trade with China? Because on the surface, it looks
No.
like it.
Well, then good. And that's one good thing.
Well, I'd say it's not
But
going to
I
stop
think
all
we
trade
should
with
do
China.
business with other
It's
countries.
it would enable them to potentially stop all trade with China, but that's not that's not
That
explicitly
may
what it
work out
states.
in Trump or DeSantis' favor down the road if they wanted to do that.
You don't know how much trouble we'd
So that'd
be
be
in if we didn't do business with China right now.
That is
Yeah.
true. That's also true.
Yeah, a lot of the first and foremost, the U.S. economy would take a big dive if the U.S. Next month announced that we are stopping all trade with China. Then the U.S. will have a big dive, and then down the road, the European economy, because we interact with companies in the U.S. who does business with China and so on. So they're not going to do that. They're not that stupid, I don't think.
So we have like about 10 minutes left. Is there any other major thing you wanted to get to, Polymatrix, before we do concluding thoughts here?
I don't think so. I am reading this one section under Section 5 considerations. It's kind of interesting and talking about the different platforms. It says any software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to data hosting or computer service that uses, processes, or retains, or is expected to use, process, or retain sensitive personal data with respect to greater than 1 million persons in the United States at any point during the year period exceeding the yada yada. Okay, so forth. Well, that might exclude shipping companies then, because they don't necessarily process sensitive personal data for more than 1 million persons in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Except for
Might-
like addresses, maybe.
I think it's going
Well,
to
advertising
affect
maybe,
people.
yeah.
I think it's going to affect people in the services that they depend on. Like, for instance, I run a VPN that I love and I swear by, Mulvad. And I will no longer be able to do Mulvad per se, not legally. I would not be able to do Mulvad and pay with my card because I would be concerned that they might see that as is that totally out of the
No,
realm
because Mulvad is not a foreign adversary.
they're Switzerland. They're based in Switzerland. At what
Switzerland is
point are
not
they
a foreign
considered
adversary.
Such as,
Yeah, but,
Switzerland's not an adversary.
Yeah, but,
Switzerland is
Switzerland
neutral
is
basically
an
all the
ally.
time.
Okay,
But-
here is what is there we go. Here's what is defined as a foreign adversary. Any foreign government or regime determined by the secretary, and that's the problem, is can they change it later? Yes. But as this is written, pursuant to sections 3 and 5, have engaged in long-term pattern or serious instances of conduct significantly adverse to national security of the United States, security and safety of United States persons, includes, unless removed by the Secretary pursuant to Section 6, Republic of China, including Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, Republic of
Macau.
Cuba, Islamic Republic of Iran, Democratic Republic of Korea, the Russian Federation, and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Lord
the
forbid
regime
they
of
show
Nicolas
us who we're
Maduro
going to be. So if it's not in that list, it is not a foreign adversary.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah, but I think
what
that
it is.
Mark's question is more to the point that it's not necessarily dealing with a foreign adversary, but his VPN, the Switzerland VPN services will be affected by this, and the user using them will be affected by this.
Yes.
So let's say the US this law passes, and the week after that they are banning TikTok in the US altogether. Anyone, any VPN provider who is not blocking TikTok in the US will be affected by this because
could be affected by it. The people who created the bill, and this is the problem with the people who do not understand technology. The people who created the bill says, no, this doesn't have anything to do with VPNs. But the language of the bill suggests it could. And that's really the problem is that we don't have clarity on that.
It's way too freaking broad.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the problem with that.
On point. Dan is very smart. He's very intelligent. Don't take Dan for granted. He's very keyed into what's going on in the world, and I appreciate Dan. He's smarter than the average bear. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. But
I think.
And there goes the crashing of this server too. So maybe it's not just mine. We'll wait for that to reconnect. Let me go ahead and push the rejoin now button and join the meeting. 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 Hello. All of a sudden, Jitsi decided to crash. All right, I'm gonna have to reset Jitsi here real quick. Let's go ahead and get on back to that. Let's do that. Come on, Jitsi. And I'm getting the spinning circle of death over there on Jitsi. See, I'm getting the spinning circle of death, so that's exciting. Well, we'll see if that gets back to refreshing. There we are, and hit join meeting. Yeah, well, that's exciting. It is literally not letting me join. Hey,
most people, I'm the dumb guy in the room. I'm the dumbest guy in this room, and I love it. I love.
All right. I think we're mostly back.
I haven't said I'm important.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're mostly back. Welcome back, everybody. See, it's not just my server that crashes. Even the main Jitsi server crashes too.
I was told I'm important.
Oh, you're important? Okay.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for everybody to come back, I'm going to go ahead and start going through the comments. So if anybody sees a comment you'd specifically like to read. Sweaty Zombie, the only thing necessary for triumph over evil is for good men to do nothing. There you go.
There you go. That's why I got to call Friday, because I didn't get to.
Where is this?
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Found it.
Let's see. Jason's on. Let's see. Razzle Review. Greetings. Could have given those Braille books to the refs on Tuesday's Kings Flames game. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You could y'all bring some Braille books to referees and stuff, and anytime they make a bad call, throw Braille books at him. He blind.
Flying said we have enough room for most of y'all to move to Australia. Try not to fall over laughing.
I wanna ask here. Paranoid Corvus over on Odyssey asked the question: what kind of things do you think would be the first to be banned after TikTok? The initial wave and so on. So after TikTok,
that's a good question.
I like it.
Cody, of course.
Cody.
Mark, were you talking about me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just bragging on you.
That's why the Jitsi server crashed.
Yeah, you're pouring out too much. And I'm not that. I've lived too long.
I think you have.
I'm trying to think if there is another app from any of those that's not. I don't think there is another major app in the United States. Now, that being said, right now, because TikTok is under fire, ByteDance is actually getting ready to release their Instagram clone on America. So be careful of that. We're gonna have the Instagram clone coming.
Can't ban TikTok. It wouldn't matter if they ban TikTok, because then they'll just have whatever
Insta clone.
Right.
Yep.
Instapics. I don't know.
What do you guys think? Is there any other application out there that is equally used, like that is listed by one of those foreign adversaries? I mean, we know nothing's coming out of Venezuela tech wise.
Maybe like any kind
they
of
pretty much
security
collapsed.
product that's out of the region.
Russia, of course, we pretty much banned everything out of Russia anyway. And who else is on that? Cuba. I mean, Cuban
Nothing's
cigars,
coming out of
but
North
nothing
Korea.
tech. Nothing coming out of North Korea. So basically, it's an anti-China bill. So why? Where are the people calling the
Any
administration
services out of
here
Iran?
xenophobic or
Not
something?
really part of China, but they want it to be. They're pretty much making it that way.
Can you sit down while running the Braille machine? In theory, yeah. If you had a chair, yeah, you could do it.
Get a high chair.
Yeah, I could get a high chair. There you go. People are
Or like a
reacting, or
stool
people
or
not
something,
reacting.
Something that's high enough where you can see everything.
As a Singaporean, I expect
Thailand?
it's to be expected. There you go.
Jiu-jitsu breaks more than an opponent.
Patriots Flow puts up an interesting idea here. They say that I'd assume that they'll use this as an indirect way to destroy decentralized services.
Yeah.
That could be done. I mean, I don't know if you could destroy the whole service, but I think you could easily destroy the nodes.
Bye-bye TikTok.
Well, yeah, effectively destroy. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Dakota Rustler on YouTube. Bye-bye TikTok. Hello Ding Dong.
I like that.
Gary Jenkins is on. Greetings. Have a blessed day yourself. Pretty sure they're all go after. Yeah, I mean, Jason also says pretty sure they'll go after VPN providers. I mean, it's not explicitly in there, but I can see how it could happen. And so the bill leaves it up to the secretary or the president to ban whatever application they want. Yep.
The bill I read from Louis Rossman's first post, it had stuff in it for end-to-end encryption that it was to ban.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if you're using a VPN to actually go overseas to get Netflix,
well, I think though that I don't think that was part of the bill. I think that was one of the orders mentioned in the bill.
It might have been something that's been redacted from the bill,
or like a UK bill or something.
For what, Ashton?
Wasn't it like, didn't he have a video where he was reading a bill from the European Union that he didn't like, and a bill from the UK that
he did a EU bill too.
Yeah. Even parrots watch TikToks. Yeah. Only the brain dead ones. It's all twerking, misinformation, and teenagers doing stupid crap. Yes, there you go. Spoken like a true adult.
Yeah, let's be real. Teenagers are going to do stupid crap even without TikTok.
That is correct, but I can say this.
Brains watching it.
The problem is that in my era, there was no way for us to broadcast globally the stupid stuff we were doing.
Well, let me ask this. As somebody who's not from quite your era, what about Jackass? You remember Jackass on MTV? I mean...
Yeah, I thought it was the stupid.
Is this modern day Jackass? Is that all this is?
TikTok, yes. I
on steroids.
Completely agreed. Yes, I completely agree. You know that guy. The guy in there actually died by wrapping his Porsche around a tree.
I love how Jitsi sees my laughing as microphone noise.
I know, right?
I don't disagree. Carry on.
Shots fired. All right.
It's just a joke, Ashton. Just a joke. That's not.
Should I start cackling instead?
No.
No.
Let's keep with the microphone noise.
Only if you start cackling about space and Venn diagrams and yellow school buses.
I have no idea what's going on at this point anymore.
I'm looking at comments and seeing what is the some of the comments I'm not reading. I'm just scanning.
I love that Skyheart says, "What is the bill exactly?" Well, it's about 55 pages long. It's kind of hard to summarize.
Should we send them a link to the Congress.gov website?
Gross overreach of the Department of Commerce.
Yeah. All right, here. Okay, I'm gonna drop it in YouTube. There you go. You can head on over. And read the bill yourself. It's only 55 pages.
Congress.gov/bill/whatever.
We got 25 over on the Tubies. We got 26 over on the Odysseys, and we got 12 over on the Rumbles. I did not mention it at the beginning of the stream. Last week when Rumble did not run on the Weekly News Roundup, I think it was actually my fault. It was an accidental thing, but when I updated the stream keys, I don't think I restarted Nginx, and I need to do that to push the new stream keys live. And I think I didn't do that. Like, I meant to do that, but I think I probably had a keyboard snafu and it didn't update, because when I went back to update the stream keys today, I noticed that the past command to restart the server was not there. And so I was like, oh, that must have been my fault. So that's why Rumble wasn't working. It was not Rumble. It was me.
Yes, this is not the bill that Louis Rossmann
I'll take the big ol'
posted.
L for that one. All right.
This one's a little shorter.
What is?
This bill's not the one Louis Rossmann posted for his video. This one's much shorter.
Possibly.
This is not the same one.
Yeah, this is the current text of the bill. It's possible that text was updated.
I think it is the same one.
That's always a possibility. In order to get it to pass,
It says there's one version of this bill.
Yeah, this is the actual Restrict Act. So
the difference is that it's the way that the text is structured. The bill that Rossmann was reading from was in a lot more legalist form of the bill, which is 55 pages.
That's the PDF, probably.
Yeah, I got the PDF from him.
Yeah, the PDF is 55 pages.
Yeah. And this is the link that Tom posted. It is the same bill, but in a different format.
Yeah, I posted the one to the just the text version.
Yeah.
Slippery Slopes have a higher record than Mike Tyson in his prime. Ooh, yeah. How about they ban all the trackers in every app? Yeah, there's a good idea. Ban app trackers, and then it won't be a problem.
Yeah.
And the only comment we have on Rumble is banana. So, all right.
Why don't we make phones that have all the applications sandboxed?
Hello,
so they can't
How are you doing?
cross-feed and send out personal information from one app to another?
Yeah.
Everything should require consent from the user, and if they don't want you to have that data, you should not have it.
Yeah,
well,
it's the Restrict Act.
You can do that, but the next app over is not sandboxed, so it can go over and grab the data out of the app you said no to, and then send it somewhere else.
Yeah. I think they do have the bill labeled wrong, and this is Bill S686. I think it's supposed to be Bill 666, but you know.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. The S stands for Senate. If it would be H for House of Representatives. If
they should rename it to Order 66.
Yeah, there you go.
But that kind of explains it too, because of the way the Senate is all targeted out, with the people that are in it.
This is a good question here. What reciprocity measures could China take that would be painful to the U.S.?
Quit sending us our good feel-good toys.
Yeah, well, coming over and screaming pronouns around,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly they could ban things, and if they come down and ban things like Facebook and whatever else, that's what they would do, and they wouldn't have to go through a giant bill and a voting process. They just do it.
They'd start banning computers and TVs and medical supplies and.
I hate to say it, but I think this is like encroaching upon the asymmetrical warfare that's kind of going on, and I think that they're probably all. I mean, you might make the argument this is a reciprocal attack on China. I mean, really. So it just depends on where you want to put the pin in the timeline as to like who was the first aggressor.
And Commodore fan mentions cutting off more trade. Yeah, China could very easily cut off trade. The vast majority of our medical infrastructure is supplied by China, and that is a huge thing that Orange Man Bad tried to change and kept on getting blocked at it. So that's one of the things that we definitely need to focus on is more national dependence.
I want to apologize for my video quality being so terrible. I'm looking at it on the live stream.
Oh, that's fine.
Goodness. It's really bad.
Yeah, I don't know. But you're coming in as not having strong signal on my end, but that's all right.
Yeah, your signal is showing as suboptimal.
I think we are going to wrap this one up here for tonight. Thank you everybody for coming along on this show, and we will be back tomorrow, of course, with the weekly news roundup. Stay tuned for that. And with that, thanks Polymatrix for taking the lead on this one, so that I could not spend my entire day reading the bill, just half of my day reading it.
Yeah, really.
So
always happy to help.
Yeah, and of course you're better at the corporate legalese stuff. I mean, I fled the corporate world a long time ago.
I'm still in it.
Yeah, all right. Pays better in there, but
it does. That's the upside. It does pay better.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will catch you guys all later, and have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Have an awesome day, y'all.